Are you a digital nomad or a retiree looking to move to Southeast Asia, but you're trying to figure out where you want to move to? Well, you're in luck because in today's video, I'm going to be breaking down exactly why we decided to move to Thailand as opposed to Bali, where we actually lived for 6 months. Both Thailand and Bali have been a couple of the most popular destinations for digital nomads for over the last decade. And both places have their pros and cons, but for us personally, we found that Thailand had a lot more pros than cons. And in today's video, I'm going to break down what all of those are. This is something that we get asked all the time. A lot of people wonder why we chose to live in Thailand as opposed to Bali. Because honestly, Bali is more popular for digital nomads, especially people in our age bracket in their 30s. But Thailand also has a lot of things that Bali doesn't have. And in today's video, I'm going to be breaking down all of that. So make sure you stay till the end. And if you find this video helpful at all, please like and subscribe as it really helps the algorithm. So one of the biggest reasons people choose to live in Bali or Thailand as digital nomads or retirees is the cost of living. It's probably the biggest reason people come, apart from the weather and the beaches. And while both countries are relatively cheap in comparison to countries in the Western Hemisphere, unfortunately, Bali has grown more and more expensive over the last few years, especially since COVID. We were lucky enough to be in Bali right at the end of 2021 going into 2022, where prices were actually abnormally low. Since then, prices for accommodation have skyrocketed about 150% on average. To put that into perspective, just after the pandemic, the average price of a decent 1 to 2 bedroom villa in Bali was around US $20,000 per year. However, due to the increase in demand, you're now looking at paying around $30,000 to $35,000 for a decent villa in Bali per year, which, to be honest, actually more reflects the prices we would be paying back home and kind of defeats the purpose of moving to somewhere like Bali in the first place. Rental prices in Bali on average are around 125% higher than in Bangkok. However, people do seem to be catching on, and prices in places like Koh Samui and Phuket are starting to increase due to the large number of foreigners moving to the area. But there's still a ton of affordable options in Thailand in other major cities such as Chiang Mai, Hua Hin, and Koh Phangan. It's really not that hard to find a really nice place to live in Thailand for under $15,000 per year. And to be honest, condominiums are much more popular in Thailand. They don't have as many villas as Bali has, and that actually makes it a lot cheaper and a lot easier to find good accommodation. But other than just rental prices, the price of food and drinks has gone up significantly in Bali as well. And that's because there's been a ton of cafes and restaurants opening over the last few years, which is honestly amazing. Like, the food and the nightlife scene in Bali is really awesome. But to be honest, the prices are pretty similar to what I would pay back home. I'm talking about like between $5 and $6 Australian dollars for a coffee, which is pretty much what they're charging back home in Australia. And me personally, I love having the option of being able to go out and eat whenever I like. And when food's getting too expensive, that's a little bit of a turn off for us. While there are still cheap local options to eat in Bali, we found that here in Thailand, even the Westerner friendly restaurants are a lot cheaper than they were in Bali. And that also comes down to gym memberships and transport. We have found on average, everything is just a little bit cheaper here in Thailand. Now, that may change if you're in Bangkok or Phuket, some of the more touristy areas. However, where we're living in Thailand, we found it to be much cheaper than Bali. Probably the second biggest reason people choose to move to either Bali or Thailand is the beaches. And I'm going to be completely honest here. Before going to Bali, I was under the impression that the beaches were all white sand, crystal blue waters with palm trees. And to be honest, it's not really the case. While there is a lot of great beaches in Bali, such as Nusa Penida, Nusa Lembongan, Uluwatu. The main hub where we stayed and where a lot of people actually stay in Canggu, the beach just really wasn't that great at all. I'm talking about black sand, lots of rubbish, and not great water either. The flip side to that is if you're somebody who's into surfing, then Bali is 100% for you. Thailand, on the other hand, I think has some of the best beaches in the world. I'm talking about everything you see on a postcard, crystal blue waters, white sand, and palm trees. Some of the best beaches in Thailand are around Phuket, Krabi, Phi Phi Island, Koh Samui, and Koh Phangan. But as I mentioned, if you're somebody who's into surfing, that's not really a thing in Thailand. So maybe Bali is a better option for you. We don't really surf too much. We have tried it a few times, but it's not something that like we really need to be doing all the time. So that wasn't really something we were interested in. So if you're just looking for a beautiful beach that looks like it does on the postcards, then Thailand is probably for you. All right, guys, we just need to give a quick shout out to Surfshark for sponsoring today's video. So one thing we really don't show a lot of on this channel is all the behind the scenes stuff, like editing videos, uploading content, and of course, planning all of our trips. Up until a few months ago, we actually didn't have our own place and we didn't have access to our own Wi-Fi, which meant working from hotels, Airbnbs, internet cafes, and co-working spaces. And that meant logging onto public Wi-Fi. And not only that, when we're traveling through airports and on buses and trains, we're also using public Wi-Fi or whatever is available at the time. Unfortunately, public Wi-Fi is an absolute gold mine for hackers, which is why for almost 3 years now since we left Australia, we've been using Surfshark VPN. And still to this day, I never log onto the internet without turning on my Surfshark VPN. And in case you don't know what a VPN is, it stands for Virtual Private Network, and it's super important if you're going to be using Wi-Fi. Basically, it acts like a mask, encrypting all of your data that gets sent between our computers and the internet, so that nobody can steal all of your sensitive information. Trust me, it's happened to me before. But honestly, that's just one reason we use Surfshark. The other reason is that it lets us log on to servers from all over the world, which means accessing streaming services from other countries, such as Hulu, HBO, and Netflix. Unfortunately, when you're traveling around the world, some content isn't available to you. So guys, don't leave yourself vulnerable to hackers any longer. Secure your privacy with Surfshark by clicking the link down below. And remember to use code LloydandMandy at checkout to get 4 months extra. Okay, thanks for watching, guys, and let's get back to the video. Okay, so we actually recently went back to Bali in January, and I gotta say, the thing that stood out to me the most, apart from the increases of prices, was the traffic. It is absolutely insane. And it was January, so it was school holidays, and it was probably a lot busier than usual, but I've seen photos and videos of people in Bali right now in July, and there's traffic jams everywhere. And that's because, to be honest, Bali and Canggu especially were never really intended to have this many people there. The roads are quite narrow, and you get a lot of local tourism from places like Jakarta that bring their cars over, and then they cause massive traffic jams. If you're riding around on a scooter in Bali, it's really not that out of the ordinary to be stuck in traffic for 30 to 40 minutes. On the other hand, here in Thailand, apart from Bangkok, there really isn't any traffic congestion anywhere. And a lot of the roads are actually designed for cars. So if you're a digital nomad and you're looking at moving here and you want to ride a scooter around, you're probably not going to experience much traffic at all. Or if you're interested in buying a car, then the roads are really designed for cars to be driven around as well. We haven't found any traffic issues here, as I said, apart from in Bangkok, where honestly the traffic is crazy, but you don't need to drive in Bangkok. You can get the BTS everywhere. Okay, the next reason we decided to live in Thailand as opposed to Bali is the food. I've got to be honest, Thai food is probably my favorite food in the whole world. It's amazing. It's so fresh, it's spicy, it's sour. You got so many different options. I love Thai food, and there's so many local Thai restaurants everywhere. Every city you go to, you're gonna find a really, really good home-cooked Thai meal. While I will say that Bali does have a lot of really cool like vegan cafes and more international cuisine than Thailand, as I mentioned earlier, it's just a little bit expensive. And to be honest, I do like Indonesian food, but not as much as Thai food. I think Thai food is the best, and the night markets here are absolutely amazing. You can go to a night market and eat anything you like, and you're probably not gonna spend more than $10. Me and Mandy go to our favorite restaurant here, and the menu is about 50 pages thick. We order as much food as we want and drinks, and we never spend more than about 20 bucks. And the food is amazing. I can't speak highly enough of it. So for us personally, food was a factor in deciding to live in Thailand over Bali, although it probably wasn't the biggest factor. We also found that when we were in Bali, we struggled to find really good grocery stores that had like all the stuff we wanted to cook at home. And even a lot of the accommodation didn't really have great kitchens, to be honest. So we found ourselves eating out most of the time, and we got to a point where we really just wanted to cook at home. In Thailand, we have found some amazing grocery stores, and they're actually pretty cheap. Like, I'm talking maybe half the price as we would pay for stuff back home. And you can find everything you want that you would usually get back home here in Thailand in the grocery stores. If you're a retiree, then this probably isn't going to apply to you, but if you're a digital nomad, then co-working spaces are probably a massive thing on your list. And to be honest, Bali definitely gets the nod when it comes to co-working spaces. There are a ton of co-working spaces, especially in Canggu, Uluwatu, and Ubud. And it's actually a great way to meet other young people who are digital nomads as well. And that's one thing we really love about Bali. However, unfortunately, there really isn't quite the same digital nomad scene here in Thailand just yet. And there isn't as many co-working spaces. A lot of people, I think, here mostly work from home or cafes. So until recently, I would have said that Bali had better options for digital nomads as far as visas. But since Thailand has just released the new Destination Thailand visa, I have to say, I think Thailand might actually take the cake now. So the new Destination Thailand visa is a visa that any digital nomad can apply for. It's valid for up to 5 years, with stays permitted up to 180 days per time, and can be extended for another 180 days for 5 years. The cost of the visa is about 10,000 baht, which works out to be about $300, something like that. And the requirements actually aren't too bad at all. All you need is a valid passport, proof of income from either an employer or a client, and around about $12,000 to $13,000 in your bank account. And with this visa, you can actually bring your spouse and children. So if you're someone like us who's married and maybe you have a kid and you work online and you want to bring your family over, then you're just going to be paying one visa bill. And you and your family can stay and work remotely for up to 5 years in Thailand. So that pretty much sums it up. I think, honestly, both places have their pros and cons. We really love Bali. If it wasn't as busy and expensive, we would love to live there. But unfortunately, things have gotten a little bit crazy, and we opted for a little bit more of a chilled out place here in Thailand, and we can honestly say we don't regret it at all. However, if you're thinking of moving to either place, you really can't make the wrong decision because you're going to be happy wherever you go. There's so many amazing people to meet in Bali and in Thailand who are working remotely, as well as the locals. The locals in Thailand have been absolutely amazing to us, and especially with Mandy pregnant, they've all been so welcoming and nice, and our landlord even is like the nicest lady ever. Everyone we deal with here is amazing, so we're really happy that we chose Thailand. However, we are looking forward to going back to Bali for a holiday sometime soon. If you're looking for any more info on either Bali or Thailand, we have playlists available. We've made a ton of videos about visas and remote work and finding accommodation, cost of living, all that sort of stuff. So go and check them out. We'll leave the link to everything down below. And if you made it this far, we really appreciate it. And if you found this helpful at all, again, please remember to like and subscribe. It really helps us out. Cheers, guys.